Oh, I like to be scared at least once a month.
When you're scared, you're learning, right? Like it's the same as the argument. Like you learn the most on call.
If
Yeah,
you're
because my
comfortable, you're not learning.
Hola, what is up, everybody? Welcome back to the Reliable HVACR podcast. If you're watching this on YouTube, make sure you're subscribed, like, comment. If you're listening to this over on the podcast, like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, wherever it is, it's a bit available on all platforms. Please leave us a 5-star review to help us get out to more people. I love doing this because it is good conversations with good people. Anybody is welcome. If you guys ever want to be a guest on this show, if you guys listen or watch any of my content, go ahead and message me. Come on, tell your story. That's what it's about. If there's any sponsors that want to reach out and support the show, go ahead and also reach out to me. My email's posted everywhere. reliablehvacr956@gmail.com is how you can get a hold of me. Speaking of sponsors, today's episode is brought to you by my favorite CRM, Jobber. If you guys want to use a software that helps us boost our business, whether it's invoicing, quoting, scheduling, keeping track of your team, price lists, our maintenance plan is in there. Now they help you with marketing and running campaigns through emails, all that stuff. And you can talk to your customer through texting in the customer hub. They can request work. You never have to pick up the phone. They can actually request work online through text. You can tell them that you're on the way. All the stuff that you would expect from a professional CRM. If you guys want a free trial and discount, go to getjobber.com/reliablehvacr. Also, VETO Pro Pack, the best tool bags in the game. I know people tell me the first thing is always the price. Let me tell you, other brands that I used to get at the supply house never lasted me. So in that short amount of time, I was buying several of those bags when I could just buy one VETO Pro Pack tool bag. And if you want to go check them out, go to vetopropack.com. You can also get them at any supply house or place that you buy equipment. They usually have VETO Pro Pack, and they just came out with the MB3 Blackout, which I am super excited for because I actually had a hand in some major design in that bag, and I hope to continue to work with that. But I use the MB3 Blackout as my favorite. I also use the Wheelers. I use a lot of their tote bags. I even have something in my van that just holds bottles and miscellaneous things, and it's made by them too. They have a bag for every scenario, so you won't be disappointed. Go check out VETO Pro Pack. And if you go to their website, go to the customer profile. You'll find me in there. You can learn a little bit more about me, and you'll probably see a lot of these YouTubers and people on Instagram that you might watch in that section. And a big thanks to all the sponsors that make this show possible and moving forward. You'll hear more from Local HQ Marketing, NAVIEN, and DIVERSITECH throughout the show. And don't forget that I have another podcast / live stream every Thursday night, the HVAC Nights. You can find us on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok. It's me, Jake, and Curtis. You might know them already. And we just talk shop about our work week and life stuff. It gets crazy. It gets uncensored. It's a fun time. So come check us out live every Thursday on YouTube. And it's available on all podcast platforms later that week. If you ever want to keep up to date with anything that I use, whether it's tool recommendations, Camel City Mill socks have been really great for me, and the Huxley work pants. I have discounts for a lot of these things that I use. You can find them in my website, reliablehvacr.net. So like I said, tool link, recommendations, discounts. I got merch there. You can request stickers. I will have my arm sleeves up for sale soon, so make sure to keep an eye out there. And if you just remember to go to the website, you'll always keep up to date with everything. And really quick, I just want to invite you guys to our Discord. We made an HVAC Nights Discord server. You'll find it in the link below or on reliablehvacr.net, hvacnights.com. You can find it there. I'll leave a link. Everybody is welcome to join. I just wanted a place because we've talked about this. We're 50 episodes into that HVAC Nights show, and we've always talked about a way to do like a website or a forum, something where it can be community and, try to have people help each other and not talk down on each other, stuff like that. So if you guys want to join, I'll leave that up and you can come in, talk shop, talk about specific residential, commercial, industrial. I'll have like a bunch of different categories. There will be shop talk, there will be tool talk, where we can talk about like tool recommendations and deals that you might find shopping around for tools, little things that you find, you can throw it in there. We can laugh about some HVAC hacks that you see out in the wild. You can submit some photos or just talk about some experiences. There'll also be like a help section if you guys want to ask questions. And as the community, as we build it up, everybody can answer each other, and that way, like, if I don't know anything about what you're asking, somebody else might, step in and be able to answer your question. That's what I wanted, and that's what we're going to do with the Discord. I just want to catch up with you guys in between the shows, or when we're on breaks and stuff like that. Like, there's a hobby section. If so, right now it's just sports and content creation, but if you guys want to talk about any other fishing or anything like that, I can add all that stuff to it. So I'm still learning it. If you guys know anything about Discord, help me out, help me learn, tell me what to add to it, and we can go from there. So stuff will be added as I figure it out. But like I said, you can talk about your hobbies, sports, shop talk, anything in the HVAC world that you want to discuss or ask a question on, specific troubleshooting or help with things. I want to add like manuals and little codes and tips and tricks and stuff like that. I want all of that in that community. So go check out our Discord, join it today, and let's get some conversations going. On today's episode, we have the Ice Master, Ty himself. I've ran into this guy at the AHR Expo. He's really great, super supportive of everybody else, and this guy has helped in his own rights. He's done the trade shows. He's helped with those. He's helped judge a couple of these HVAC competitions, which I think is great. I usually hear about these things through the grapevine of like online communities. So he has people that he's close to and all that he works with and helps and trains and does all this stuff. He does industrial work, so hats off to him being able to juggle all that stuff. I enjoy hearing about all these things. I never knew that there was an award show. Shout out to my award back there. Shameless plug. And then the AHR expos, the trade shows that pop up, and the guys that come out to different places. So I love hearing about all that. And I talk to him, or we discuss all of those things, what he does, where he's from. He's up in Canada, and the kind of stuff that he sees. So without further ado, enjoy the episode. Well, it's a weekend, had stuff to do earlier. You guys had a holiday. Right now, you said it's like a Thanksgiving.
Yeah, our Thanksgiving comes a little earlier in Canada.
Yeah, whatever.
So
Like we're still October.
yours is end of November, so
It's a whole lot earlier. Now that you said that, I'm looking forward to the Thanksgiving meals and all that. Do y'all do the same? Is it the same, or is there any difference, or how do y'all?
I imagine it's all the same. Turkey stuff and all the fixins, eat too much, drink too much, the usual fun when it comes to that sort of holiday.
Oh yeah, sounds exactly the same. All right, we're cool. We're good. Well, I was running around earlier. That's why I kind of gave you like a last minute time, which I had no idea you had a holiday going on, but it's all good. And then
Hey, you can tell by my surroundings that we brought the motor home, so I got a nice little place to hang out by myself, and the rest of the family's in the in-laws' house taking care of the feed.
That's right. Yeah, because you're visiting family, so you got the motorhome just pulled up, and right now you got the whole thing to yourself.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, personal guest suite, man. It's the way to travel.
Awesome. Is it a long road trip for you guys, or?
So my in-laws are about 6 hours away from me.
That's not bad. I'm 4 to 6 hours from any major city over here. So like when I go, because I'm in Texas, so when I go to San Antonio, Houston, I have some buddies in Austin. That's always a 4 to 6, 7 hour drive for me.
Yeah, I don't know. In this industry, I'm just so used to traveling and driving. It's not really that different to me. Like I did
Yeah,
3 hours for work, and then I got home and jumped in the motorhome, and we drove for 4 hours to camp for the night, and then another 2.5 to get here the next day. So
that's funny because like with my girlfriend, we take a lot more trips now because like they have her daughter has family up in San Antonio on the other side.
yeah.
So like, we make trips out of it, right? So I'm like, yeah, cool. Like I don't mind driving. She's like, perfect. When we got together and everything, because I was like, I'm so used to it from work where I drive 2 hours to a call and then 2 hours back and then maybe another hour out this way or hour out that way. And I'm just like, I kind of like numb to it. Like I'm just used to it. So these 4 to 6 hour drives are really nothing too bad for me.
Well, the situation we're in out here, so my wife grew up out here. I've been married about 20 years. So we've been making this run probably 2 dozen times a year for 20 years. And it wasn't until we had our daughter that it forced us to slow down and actually enjoy the run. Because you
Mm,
can't just crank out 6.5 hours straight when you got a 1-year-old sitting in the back seat.
I
So
know.
now to be able to make more of a trip of it's a lot nicer.
Yeah, we've been looking into getting like you said, like a RV motorhome type of deal, so we can enjoy it. I mean, our kids are 10 and 8, so it's not horrible. But yeah, like they're always like, "Are we there yet? Are we there yet? Are we there yet?" Uh, so we got to deal with that the whole drive over. But nah, it's not too bad. I mean, like I said, I'm used to it. I do all the driving, and it's just like at work. I'm just used to. I'm so used to it.
Yeah, it's part of our lives, unfortunately.
My van is wrapped. It's always nice when you got the number on there because everybody wants to call with their opinion on how you're driving or try and blame you
Yeah,
for
yeah.
something. And I'm the most cautious, especially when I'm in my van. Cause like the last thing I want to do is hit somebody. But we get those calls, I get those complaints, and I'm like, what are you gonna do about it?
Well, I say to all my apprentices and everything too, nothing will change your driving habits of having someone else's name on the side of your vehicle.
Yeah, yeah. And it's funny because the number goes to it's my dad's number. The calls go to him. So he's like, "Did you cut somebody off at this intersection or whatever?" And I'm like, "Nope." I was like, "I had the right of way," and I explained to him. He's like, "All right, we'll see if they make a fuss out of it." But yeah, like I'm a lot more cautious in the van just because the names on the side, and the last thing you need is
Yep.
a lawsuit or anything bad happening.
Even just that bad reputation, right? You never know that guy you could cut off could be your next customer. So you just gotta be nice. And I get
Well,
cut up in
what?
traffic all the time. And you just smile and wave and let it happen. And
Oh yeah, like I'm way more patient now after driving and doing HVAC because you're stuck in traffic a lot. You're driving hours a day. And it's funny because I know you do like more industrial type of stuff and heavy commercial, but like the residential guys are always like that they run so many calls a day and that they're doing this and that, and I'm like, half of my day or more might be driving. I might go do
yeah,
a few calls, and if I can, the perfect day is like when I get to schedule a couple of them that are close together. I'm like, okay, cool, I can go out there, knock out a few calls, and then come back. But a lot of our days are driving. I mean, that's at least half of it right there.
we even doing what I'm doing. A lot of my sites are very far from where I live, just because there's not a lot of guys in that area that can service them. So I have sites that are 2 to 4 hours round trip away from where I live. So you're tacking on, that may be plus your 8 hour day. You could be on a 12-hour day with 4 hours of drive time. So a lot of the residential guys that can get in and out have shorter drives, but more of them. I just tend to
Yeah,
have a lot of longer drives.
yeah, it's a part of the commercial world, and again, like that's the stuff that I like. So I like traveling and driving. I actually do enjoy it. I get my windshield time, right? You get to decompress or just kind of chill out in the van before you get to the next
Oh,
call.
throw a podcast on, learn
Yeah.
something new, throw some heavy metal on, crank it so you can calm down and beat the shit out of the steering wheel for a half hour. Yeah, it's the way to go.
Oh yeah, my steering wheel, my poor steering wheel. We have those. We all have those days. This podcast is presented by Local. Local works tirelessly to help HVAC contractors rank higher on Google. They use an attack methodology to make sure that contractors dominate their local service areas and increase their market share and generate higher revenue. Reach out to Local at localhq.com/reliable. Mention me or the Reliable HVACR podcast, and you'll get 2 months of SEO for free. Well, I'll let you explain. What do you do, and what area are you in?
So I'm based out of Calgary, Alberta, so southern Alberta. My specialty over the last 10 years has been grocery store, rack refrigeration, and I'm moving into CO2 now. I do a little less grocery stores now, more large scale warehouses. I've got some manufacturing plants, so meat plants, cheese plants, a bunch of stuff like that. On the daily, usually my smaller systems are 50 to 100 tons. I've got some systems that are into the 300-400 tons. So
That's crazy because I'm maxed out at 20 tons.
Yeah, it's a whole different thing. It's a whole different level of panic when it goes wrong, but there's so much more to think about when you're doing your basic maintenances.
Oh yeah.
One of my facilities, it could just be a single rack, and that may be 8 hours every 2 weeks that you got to spend on that piece of equipment. So you've just got more components.
Varies. Yeah, because it varies. Like you got the residential level, like their maintenance, not you don't do it as often, and it's as easy as sometimes just changing the filter, cleaning the coil, just checking a few things, and then like you go up a little bit on the light commercial, then you're on rooftops. You got to check multiple units on a location, sometimes a crap ton of units on one location. And then you keep going up. Like what I do is hospital work too. They want us there like a couple of times a month just to make sure everything is like
the hospital work, especially if you're doing the ultra colds, that's so cool. The amount of controls and things you've got to learn and figure out through the process. That I did a little bit with like vaccine coolers and a little bit with blood chillers, and yeah, it's so cool.
Dude, it's so crazy. I always tell people because like we got out of it. We focus more on the kitchen stuff now, but they're getting us to go back up and do more of the other refrigeration. It's crazy in a hospital just on that, because that is something that I can get into. It's not super heavy commercial or anything like that. So we were able to get into the kitchen and then kind of get into the other spaces in that hospital. And we've had a good reputation to where we had other hospitals that we worked at too. And it's a whole different thing, like cleanliness and how much maintenance they want. Like all of that is a lot in its own. But then, like you said, you get all these different, and somebody reminded me or told me that they work on like areas, or I don't know if it's the MRI machine itself. Like there's so much equipment that needs conditioned spaces, or so much equipment that actually has refrigeration in it that you wouldn't think of. So like in hospital work, there's a whole bunch of other stuff that you can do. Now, what we've done is like, well, they have us doing all the ice machines. You got ice machines on every floor. I honestly didn't want them, but we got them. We're on a maintenance plan with them. And then there's the morgue, the coolers, that kind of stuff. And like you said, where they keep the blood, all these different kinds of medicines and different things like that. Because that's what I started with. And I had like an oh crap moment when I'm in there working on this stuff. And I'm like, I'm going to be liable for all this? Like, oh, damn.
Well, and then you move into the technology space where you're basically working into a data room environment, like you said, with like an MRI. All those processors and everything like that, they need to be in a temperature controlled space. And so there's tons and tons of cooling requirements inside a hospital. You could almost specialize just in one hospital and make a hell of a career out of it.
That's kind of the cool thing. You can pick a career, and it can be, you can niche down into like, just you want to specialize in something, you can do that. Because we've turned down a lot of work because we prefer to kind of just be good at what we do, which is like the kitchen refrigeration and the kitchen work. So I've dabbled in other things, like at that hospital, at other places, like, hey, you want to check this out? I'm like, sure. Like I've always had that mentality of like, if it's in front of me and it's a refrigeration equipment, I can more than likely figure it out if I know my basics and all that. So I always like the challenge, but I do
Big
like
thing
to
with this trade is it's so varied on what you can do. I don't know how you guys lay out with training and apprenticeship programs, but we have a 4-year program, and that is the same program that the guy who puts a basic split system in a house and the guy that takes care of an NHL hockey rink take. So you can specialize, you can stay broad. There's so much in this trade to keep guys entertained if that's what they want to do, that you really don't even need to look anywhere else. I don't know anybody that says they get bored of this trade. They just move to a different section and specialize in
yeah.
something else.
You can move around. There's guys that have gone like from residential or out in the field to like controls, and that's what they like. They like being on the computer and programming things, and restaurant work is another thing, and hospital work and industrial. Like there's something for everybody. And yeah, because that's kind of one reason I don't like to do residential or anything like that, because I don't want to stick in one place or do installs. Like stick in one place for too long. I'd rather be out, knocking out calls and kind of getting what I would think is a little more challenging on the commercial side. And obviously, the further you go up the ladder, I'm sure you've had your moments doing what you do, like big equipment, big problems, and you got to figure it out.
Oh, I like to be scared at least once a month.
That's a good way to look at it.
When you're scared, you're learning, right? Like it's the same as the argument, like you learn the most on call.
Yeah.
So if
Yeah,
you're comfortable, you're not learning.
because my dad used to leave. Well, he doesn't do what I do. He does the cooking equipment, but like I got used to riding along and then kind of being his helper. And then, we would look at equipment together. We had a guy that we hired that did refrigeration in the beginning, but then he started leaving me on my own, and I had those oh crap moments, and I'm like, okay, I got to figure it out. Um, you got to calm down and kind of think things through and figure it out. But I've been in there. I've been thrown into the fire, and that's exactly how I learned. And we make mistakes, you learn from them, and you kind of don't make the mistake again.
Yeah, well, you hope to.
Today's episode is also brought to you by NAVIEN. If you haven't seen it yet, NAVIEN has entered the HVAC space in a big way with the new NPF hydro furnace. This hydronic forced air furnace delivers industry-leading variable capacity operation from 15 to 100% in both natural and propane configurations. You can learn more at navieninc.com. I also want to thank DIVERSITECH. They simplify your work. They have everything a contractor needs to complete a job. That goes from equipment mounting, condensate, management, tools, maintenance chemicals, electrical components, indoor air quality, and much more. They have different branches under the same umbrella. More than likely, you're already using some of their products or tools. So go check out diversitech.com, and it's your one-stop shop for everything HVAC. So if you're doing, how long were you doing the supermarket stuff?
So I worked for 6 years at a company that exclusively did grocery stores and racks. I basically didn't touch a piece of heating equipment for over 6 years.
Is that where you
And I've
started, or did you
been
start somewhere else?
No, I started at a really good company actually. They were quite large and they kind of dabbled in everything. They had industrial, they had data rooms, grocery stores, regular HVAC, hydronics. And they did an interesting thing. Every year of your apprenticeship, they moved you into a different division. So once you did your 4 years, they basically sat back and said, "Hey, you've done everything we do. Where do you want to go as a journeyman?"
That
And
is really
then
cool.
you could go through it. And I just really like the big stuff. Like, I don't know why it is, but when it hits the fan, I'm calm. I can figure out where we got to go, what we got to do. Everything from I've had transformers on entire grocery stores blow up where we've had to call in trucks to start pulling product out of coolers, and
Okay.
managers are running around panicking, and you got to be calm. And I don't know why I loved it, but I did, and that's what I've been doing since.
You, I guess you like the chaotic stuff. That kind of like is what you're comfortable with.
Yeah, it's a weird thing. It's not my normal, after hours thing to be stressed out all the time, but I feed on it at work. So
Yeah, it's so weird because, we deal with a lot, and supermarket is one thing that I've always been interested in. I wouldn't do because of that. the chaotic stuff, when things go down, it's a big deal.
It's I don't know. I'm out of it now, and I'd probably say it's a young man's game. It's a lot harder when you got a family. There is no off time. You carry your phone 24/7 in case your guys need tech support or your guys need to know where a key is or a store manager calls you. It's when I got into it, one of the old journeymen, he told me that refrigeration is a lifestyle and HVAC is a job.
That's a good way to look
And
at it.
now I'm out of it. I'm a little happier with a little kid running around that I don't have to deal with all that.
Yeah, like I just recently recorded with a kid who was 18 getting into well, he does residential. And I was like, yeah, the thing is you kind of like take advantage of those early years before you have your family, before you have a family to feed, all that kind of stuff. And
Yeah.
soak it in, figure out what you want to do. And also while your body allows you to take that abuse. And
Well,
later
make
on,
make money, get skills, and then move
yeah.
up, so you don't have to work those hours when you get older.
Yeah, I mean, I've been trying to preach that now because that's the way I looked at it too, because like I was like, man, when I started, yeah, I was like running around trying to do everything that I could, learning everything where I worked on anything. Now I have my two kids, I have a family here, and I don't want to work weekends. I don't want to, like, I feel weird
Yeah.
saying that now, but it's like I just don't want to. I want my life.
Well, I've been, with my wife, 5, 6 years when I got into the trade. So once I went through my apprenticeship and started making money, I'd work 60, 80 hour weeks, and then I'd just shut down for 3 weeks or 4 weeks and go to Europe or go to Australia or do all this stuff because time didn't mean as much. Once I started having a family, like missing 2 or 3 weeks of your 1 year old kid, those are big steps.
Oh yeah.
And now I've kind of reached a comfort level where 40, 45 hours a week, I'm pretty happy. I'll shut down at 4:30. I'm fine with that.
It's a whole different ball game because I mean, I run a business, so in the beginning, like I said, hustling goes a long way. You try to make all your money and all that. And now I want to take the time off. I want the weekends. I want to be there whenever my kids have something going on. You kind of try to get those benefits later on. And then, like I said, when you start, you're hustling. So like, uh, if you were with your wife at that time, was it hard on you guys? If you're at work all the time?
The adjustment through the apprenticeship was interesting. I went from being I used to work on recreational vehicles, travel trailers and stuff. And I was a shop guy 9 to 5. She knew exactly where I was. And when I started moving into grocery store and stuff like that, I'd leave the house at 6 o'clock in the morning and basically tell her I'll see you when I see you.
Hmm.
So she adjusted to it. It wasn't a whole lot of stress, but I did see a bunch of guys around me that didn't have very stable relationships that were prioritizing work over their relationships, and they just go downhill.
I've heard of it a lot. Like I've never had HVAC come in between, something like that for me. Like it's never caused an issue, but I do remember like I was working a lot, and it's true, if you don't have a stable relationship or like you guys don't, I don't know, talk about it or figure out how to handle that, it can be a problem. Like you said, you saw it around you with other guys, and I- you're married to the
Yeah,
job for a good while.
my wife's pretty strong-willed, and I was lucky. I actually got into the trade through a friend that had a good relationship with her as well.
Mm.
So she would basically just call him and be like, "Yeah, Ty's getting burned out. I'm tired of not seeing him. We're taking the weekend off. Make it happen. He's done Thursday and he won't be back till Monday." And my buddy would step up and handle that on the backside and just come to me and be like, "Yeah, your wife said you're off, so have a nice weekend."
Yeah, because like I mean, as a guy, you kind of you don't you might not take care of yourself the way you should. So like you want to power through it and all that kind of stuff. And
Yeah, and you want to take care of your family and you want to make sure the bills are paid and, kind of be the alpha male, right?
of course, and that's always hard. That's a hard thing to wrestle with. And I mean, it's good that you had your wife to help you out there. And today's episode is also brought to you by GREE Comfort. I have heard nothing but high regards for GREE themselves. GREE offers not only just ductless mini splits that you might know them for, whether it's single zone or multi-zone. GREE has the GREE Flex and the Multi Pro for whole home and building cooling, so you guys can actually get systems, you know, for your house and stuff like that. They always have updated system documentation and live video trainings for contractors. They help you with your installations and make it as seamless as possible. You can follow them on Instagram and YouTube at GREE Comfort, and you'll get access to all their educational video content. I'll leave that linked below. So what did you say you were doing before?
I used to be an RV mechanic, so I worked on travel trailers, motorhomes, things like that. Rebuilt them, reskinned them, HVAC on them, electrical, pretty much everything. So
anything on that thing.
yeah, it's kind of nice. I had a working knowledge of DC power, AC power, not as much on refrigeration, but you're still dealing with furnaces, absorbed ammonia refrigerators inside of RVs, and so it was a kind of a cool job. Didn't pay worth a damn. Actually, so my buddy who got me into the trade, basically, I did a bunch of work on some stuff for him. I'm a massive car guy, so we did some stuff. We flat decked his Dodge Ram. I built a custom wiring harness for it because I understood all the electrical. And he basically came to me and said, you know, I know you don't make a whole lot where you're going. If you quit and come work for me, you will make the same money in 2 years and you will double your money in 4. Do you want to come over and try this trade? And pretty easy choice.
Yeah, and it is that kind of trade where you, because people ask me all the time about, you know, the pay, and I'm like, okay, when you start, it's going to be at the bottom. You're at the bottom of the barrel, but
yeah,
you work your way up that quickly. It really depends on you. I know I can't speak for every area, every region. Like everybody's different. Like I live in a low income area, so like the pay will start very low. But if you know, you work at it and you make yourself valuable, you learn everything you can get out there and do your own calls. The more skills you have, the better. That pay will come pretty quick.
Oh, and like let's say I can't vouch for every region, but where I am, you can make a very, very comfortable living. My wife used to do dental admin, and one Christmas we sat down with her dentist and kind of did the math on where a tradesman that made $100K a year 4 years into their apprenticeship and where a dentist would kind of like pass each other on earnings. Yeah. And we figured it was somewhere in the early 40s.
Okay.
By the time you factored in all their debt and everything that they had to take on, where I don't know about your guys' program, but if you come out of school at 18, 22, 23, you're making top dollar. You're in the 6 figures. You know, I know guys that are under 30 years old that have their house half paid off and their truck paid off because they got into it out of high school.
Yeah, I was gonna say the earlier you get into it, the better. Because I mean, that's my whole thing with having, like I said, I had an 18-year-old on earlier that was already, he was looking up like what he could make and how that works and all that, and he understood the investment part of it. And
yeah,
and I told him, like, yeah, the earlier you get into it, the better, because he bypassed the whole college thing. I was like, I was thinking college when I got out of school. I took a year off because I didn't want to do school, but I was still like, you know, it was drilled into us: go to college, figure out something, get a degree, and it's usually like business or, you know, something else. And it's like, when are you going to use that? And now, I mean, everybody saw it during the pandemic. If you learn a skill, I mean, that you'll always have it, and you'll always have something to do. And it's in high demand. I'm sure you guys have seen, like, you probably need or there is a shortage of good techs.
Oh, we're losing probably 2 to 3 to every kid we're getting to come into the trade. I do a bunch of stuff with apprenticeship up here. Our average enrollment rate for a first year apprentice is 32 years old. This is very rarely somebody's first job.
Oh yeah.
Like, we don't have a lot of exposure for kids out of high school to get into this, to do this. And I think I'm, on one side of my family, the 4th generation tradesman. On the other side of the family, I'm an 8th generation tradesman. Both my parents are fully licensed journeyman, and then went into teaching later in their lives. There is a stigma out there that unless you have a college degree, you're not as good as a person who's a tradesman. People still look down on tradesmen. You can be very, very specialized. You can go through, I know guys that started with trade tickets that then went and got business degrees that are actually using them rather
Yeah.
than getting a business degree and then trying to get a trade ticket after. I think that as a parents coming up and people who have kids that are in there now need to stop looking down on trades and where they can end up with them. Well, and even your brother that's gamer. My nephew, another guy who's huge gamer, builds his own computers, does all that stuff way over what I can comprehend on a computer. He got into it within about 5 years. He got into high-end grocery store programming.
Oh yeah.
So he goes into a grocery store and does like E2, E3 upgrades, does efficiency calculations, does everything. Same as me, no college degree, no nothing, but sits on his computer and does stuff that blows me away on what he can do.
That's crazy. That youngest brother that I have, like, he also picked up like instruments. So he plays bass really well. Like he can quickly learn things. So like I kind of had a feeling that he would be good at it. So when he came on board with us, he asked a lot of questions. He was very meticulous about how he did things. I think he's borderline OCD. Like he has all these traits that
Yeah, is he on your
sometimes,
side with the cool or with your
yeah,
dad on the hot side?
he's on my side. If he worked with my dad, they would have a fight every day because like I'm like he's one of those that you bump heads with, but he's a good worker.
Yeah.
It's because he has to do it
Eh,
one way, and my dad's old school. He's like, just get it done. We need it now, and this and that. My brothers are like making sure everything's perfect and everything.
yeah, it's a problem with management. Sometimes you just got to learn how to run people rather than actually run them.
Yeah, so we try to keep them separate, but he runs with me more often, and what I appreciate since he's like that is he does a lot of our maintenance, which I don't have to do, which I hate doing. So it works out.
You got to find the job that caters to the guy 100% because there are people that are way better at that. I am not a maintenance guy. I am. It's hit the fan. We got to tear things apart. Two
Yeah,
o'clock in the morning guy. I am not the most methodical guy. That's for sure.
which is like the way I'm that way too because I prefer to take the harder calls, and I prefer not to send him to like if I get a call and I'm trying to send somebody out, I'll take it. I was like, I want the hard call, and then usually I can get it done quicker. And then like I said, he takes calls, but he also does our maintenance a lot. And I was like, I'd rather just leave it like that. He's good at what he does. I love doing what I do. I think we're good.
I
Um,
think the thing with the service calls is like it's almost a badge of honor to me. Like the guys that I hang out with that do the same thing, you end up sitting around having lunch, having a drink, doing what, and it's trading war stories. Who's got the worst thing? Who's done this? Who's struggled through this? And I've had 3 or 4 guys that have just like that sounds incredibly cool what you're doing and want to see that side of it.
that's why when I got on this Instagram and everything, like I appreciate what everybody else does, but I'll watch from afar, right? The guys that do like the supermarket, the industrial, like I love that stuff. I'll just never do it, but I appreciate watching it. You I know you talked about like you like to help apprentices and all that kind of stuff. You are a part of something or you're helping with something, right? It's called the skills something
So
competence.
it's the World Skills Organization.
Okay. And what is
So
that?
there's several tiers. Basically, the way it runs with us is it's a under 21 refrigeration based 2 day competition with a provincial, a national, and a world title.
Okay.
So on a provincial level, we have a small under counter cooler that you need to fully pipe, wire, and commission inside of 2 days, following all safety protocols to get to it. Then we judge that. Whoever wins that then goes to represent that province in all of Canada. And last year we built a uh, increasing radius evaporative coil So single piece of pipe you had to bend, so it came in 9 times, I believe. So it was a total of a full roll of 25 foot of copper. And then you had to put an EEPR in as well as a hot gas bypass valve to start and frost up that pipe in 2 days.
Mm-hmm.
The individual who won that got to represent Canada, and they went and did a single compressor, dual evaporator, multi-temperature system in Lyon, France.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, it gets increasingly harder as you move up, but it's a heavy promotion on the trades. It's definitely a feather in the cap for the guys that win. Our Canadian rep this year, he got trips to England to compete, Germany, the East Coast, Quebec, as well as in Calgary. It's a pretty big deal if you actually win these things
Yeah.
to be, like the Canadian champ or the world champ.
Man, that's one that I hadn't really heard of. I had seen you like when you posted that you were like helping out with it or traveling for that, and it seemed like a cool deal. But it's like it's a competition building stuff, that kind of thing.
Yeah. What was it? Service Titan just did those HVAC nationals.
I was gonna say that's another one that I barely found out about like
So
a
yeah,
year.
it's very similar to that, but it's for people under 21 to compete.
Oh
Worlds, you
yeah,
have to be
so
under 20.
there's an age. Yeah, I got you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's very fierce. There are several countries that the government will actually pay a technician to train for a year ahead of time.
So this is like the HVAC Olympics or the refrigeration Olympics.
100%. There's big money on the line. There's big egos. There's
That's
massive fights at
crazy.
Worlds. When we do the nationals, the guys who run that are so precise. They'll use a micrometer to make sure every fitting is in the same location on every table, so nobody can say that they had an advantage when they started.
Wow. Okay, I thought it was something a little bit smaller. That's a big deal right there.
Yeah, it takes us 4 days to set up the national event.
Oh, okay. So you get to help with that all around. You're like on the committee or something, right?
Uh, as of this Friday, I am the chair for Alberta.
Oh,
So I'm running the Alberta competition for refrigeration this year. And then I am one of 10 members for the national committee.
oh, I got you. Is that is that like an annual thing then?
Yeah, the competitions are once a year. There's sporadic meetings throughout to set everything up. It
Oh,
probably you're probably I probably volunteer about 40 hours per competition to set everything up, judge it, do everything else.
oh, that's cool, man. Because even just with the age group that you guys work with, that's cool to see like the kids kind of getting in there and doing that.
Yeah, I want to try and put together on the provincial level some sort of swag bags, reach out to some manufacturers and stuff, and give these guys, whether it's hats or shirts or a tool or something like that to make it more of an incentive to go there.
Oh yeah,
Because right now, unfortunately, if you don't win anything, you don't get anything. So
yeah. You travel out
everybody
there.
wants a participation trophy. So
Did anybody work with you last time? Did you get anybody to help you out with anything? Because
I did it kind of last minute. Solderweld stepped up really big,
okay,
actually. He
I think
sent
that's what
every
I had seen.
contestant out. Yeah, every contestant got one of their magnetic welding blankets and one of their all-in-one starter kits.
Okay.
So that was big.
Yeah, because I was gonna say, I mean, you can ask a lot of these companies. I always tell people like it doesn't hurt to ask. A lot of these companies are willing to
Oh,
help.
100%.
Solderwell's really cool,
Yeah,
and
I just
there's a whole
happened to talk
bunch.
to Solderweld at AHR about it and a few other things, but I'll be reaching out to like Viper. Like the dream would be, you know, $500 gift bag, maybe in like a VETO tote or something like that, where it would
Oh yeah,
these guys would really go back to their companies and brag and be like, hey, like new apprentice, you got to try this. Like, look at all the gear I got.
sure, man. That's kind of the whole thing with even going to AHR. And I know I ran into you there. Uh, Events like this where you can, you know, like the award show is cool being put on, in kind of recognizing people in the trades, and then going to the AHR Expo, trying to collect everything you can from these different booths and stuff. And it's a fun time when you get together at these places, and it's about your work, but it's also about like having fun.
It's also like it's a connection of people who are as passionate about this industry. You know, I don't know how your area is, but there's a half dozen people in my local area that I can go to beers with that are as much about this industry as I am, that listen to all the podcasts and watch all the YouTube and pay to upgrade their skills out of pocket rather than wait for the company to do it. But then you go to AHR and like you can't swing a cat without hitting guys that are feeling the exact same way about the industry.
Yeah, and I think you've hung out with some of the other people up there in Canada, like Pipe Wench, and I think Rob had talked about something that you guys did, or I don't know what.
Yeah, so Rob lives about 2 hours north of me. It's actually the town that I refer to as the meat plant.
Okay,
Um, so I'm up there twice a month. I'm actually presently in the same town as the pipe went, but I think she's doing her family dinner and I'm doing my family dinner. So I'm trying to get together with a beer for her, but it may not happen.
gotcha.
Um, there's a bunch. There's the whole A team dynamic where
Oh
everybody's got
yeah.
that connection in Canada. So talk to some of those guys. It is pretty spread out. You know, a couple dozen people over a whole country is fairly big.
Hey man, that one, wasn't it that one year that it was like at the award show, like all the Canadians took all the awards?
Yeah, it was like 2 years ago. Last
Yeah.
year we did pretty good too.
um, but that, yeah, and you bring up a good point, because like that's one reason that I do like being on social media, just for the people that you meet, the interactions, all that kind of stuff. Because I've said it, and I don't like to talk bad about my area, but like I'll talk to the older techs here, and it's like, the stuff that they do, the bucket recoveries, the mixing refrigerants. I hear it, like I hear all this stuff, and I can't talk shop with these guys because they don't really care about the work that they do. But I get online or I go to these events, and it's like you said, like everybody is so passionate about it. That's why they're there, and it's a really cool time, and you get to network and make all these friendships, and that's a cool part about it.
Well, with the social media, the thing I really like is I'm not massive on a lot of the other channels other than Instagram, but there doesn't seem to be a whole lot of stress about your skill level. So I remember a while ago, HVAC Strong posted up some stuff about descaling a um, instant hot water heater, and I don't deal with those ever. And I had a couple questions about the procedure he was going through, and it wasn't like, "Oh, you don't know," and said a few things back. It was just, "Yeah, this is how I do it. This is what's recommended," everything like that, and it was pressure free and sort of a cool environment for everybody to learn from everybody.
It's gotten so much better, because like when I started my YouTube channel, there was people that were like that were critiquing just to be a jerk about it. But I do like when I
Yeah.
can learn things, because I've learned a ton even in my comments, because I'll work on something that I've never seen before, and I'm like, I don't know what I'm looking at, I don't know what this is, on the job site, and then people in the comments like, oh, it's this or that, it's called this, it works like this. That's what I appreciate, because I don't know everything.
Well, I've had a bunch that, hey, I saw you did this. I'd recommend you do it this way, but they send it in a DM, so it's not even
Oh
out in
yeah.
the public as a critique, right? And then it's, would you like me to post this? And it it's become such a supportive community where everybody wants to move up. And you can be a really passive user and just follow a bunch of people and learn a bunch of stuff and not have to put yourself out if you don't want to.
No, I mean everybody won't post their work, but like just being on there, I learned a lot from others. And like I said, being on YouTube, the comments I learned from there, I had people that, like you said, might suggest something or say that they do something a certain way, and I would reply like, send me an email and kind of show me like pictures of what you're talking about. I would love, to learn more, because I'm always
Yeah.
about that. You said you got into CO2. Is that, how long have you been doing CO2 work?
I've probably been on the fringes CO2. So I'm in a weird spot. I did it probably 2 or 3 years at the grocery store company, but then I went and helped a buddy of mine start up a small HVAC company. So I kind of got out of all the level of refrigeration for 2 years.
Oh,
And then
okay.
when I came to work for the company I've been at for a year, I got pretty heavy into it. Unfortunately, the one major CO2 rack I had, that customer decided to move on. There was a few issues on the administration side, so I don't have that one as much. But I have 2 builds coming down the pipe, and then I'm going to take a bunch of diagnosing courses and everything just to be more comfortable with it.
I was gonna ask, are you comfortable with it? Because like, what kind of pressures do you guys see on that end?
Well, on the high side, you're going to be in the 1800 to 2000 range when everything goes bad. But, a couple of the guys have pointed out the fact that how comfortable are you with your nitrogen tank? Because that's 2,500 psi,
Yeah, I guess.
right? you throw that around. It's a respect level. You got to think about what you're doing and move things around. And it's, I did ammonia in the past,
Oh
so
yeah,
there's kind of like I have a weird, healthy respect for everything, and you be a little slower and think about it. And you break a valve off on a grocery store rack, you could lose 2.5, 3,000 pounds of refrigerant. So when you've got all that mindset, it's not that terrifying.
and that's why I'll never do that because I can't take that responsibility. Um, how bad was it working with ammonia? Did you learn the hard way on some of that stuff?
I can tell you one thing: the old boys can handle that stuff way more than you think you can.
I heard, really? I heard,
I've seen guys in rooms working that I cannot walk into.
I was gonna say, I heard it's really bad.
As
And they're,
weird as it sounds, you hear like the old boys talk that, even masked up, it's not high concentration until your testicles burn,
oh,
right? So, yeah, I never really like high dosed. I definitely was in a lot of places that I couldn't enter. Same thing, it seems a lot worse than it does as long as you are safe. And truthfully, I was like a second or third year apprentice. I was still pretty green. I wasn't running jobs or doing anything terrifying. When I went into the grocery store side, I was either going to do industrial or grocery stores. Grocery store called me back first. And in hindsight, I'm pretty happy for that because I would be super specialized. And like we have an
oh
ammonia
yeah,
division where I work, and those guys are on the road 3 to 5 days a week.
I bet. I don't know. I've never worked on ammonia. I've never had to deal with it, but I do work on a lot of older equipment. And one time, because I deal with or I try to braise something out, and there must have been residual oil in it or something, and that phosgene gas came out, and
Oh, the old R22, yeah.
but it was in a old cooler in a kitchen. I cleared the whole kitchen. Everybody was like coughing and running out, and I was like, "What did I do?" But I smelled it, and I was like, "Man," because I guess I got used to it at that point. I was like, "It's not that bad," but everybody like ran out.
The coolest thing with
Sorry.
ammonia is just strictly how powerful it is. So I actually have the site for the regular refrigerant now, but I used to work on the ammonia side of one of our sites, and they had a 30,000 square foot 3-story ice cream cooler, and
Oh,
you could drop that thing like 80 degrees in 20 minutes.
dang.
Like when those screws fired up in the BTU range on that ammonia, oh, it would pull like a freight train.
Dang, well, I've never seen any of that kind of stuff. I had Brett on here one time, and he was spitting out things, and they were going right over my head. But I've always been intrigued by it.
I'm pretty sure I still have the videos on my phone. I'll send you them offline of exactly how big this warehouse is. It's over a city block that is fully refrigerated.
Dang. I was gonna ask if you've ever seen like specialty stuff like that, like where you got to cool um, conditioned spaces or anything like, or like anything out of the ordinary. Like I'm used to just walking coolers and freezers and HVAC equipment. I'm sure you've seen plenty of others. Cause like
Oh, I got 2 words for you: banana rooms.
banana rooms. Oh, I never thought about that.
So once again, you're close enough to where the bananas grow. You might not, but where we live, they ship the bananas up green,
Oh,
and
okay.
they put them in a conditioned space, heated, cooled, humidity controlled, and then they introduce, I think it's methane gas, and they actually cause them to artificially ripen faster.
Oh yeah, I
So
got you.
those are really cool because there's a lot of controls in them, a lot of different things that are happening.
Yeah, because that's the cool part. Because like I had mechanical environments on, and they talked about the grow rooms and stuff that they deal with, and that also requires a lot of special controls in that kind of environment. Because like when I got into it, I was always intrigued by the refrigeration side, and then they were like, "Yeah, and you can do like you said, these specialty rooms." Like I was thinking, like like chocolates or like flowers. There's all these different things that need um, refrigeration rooms or whatever you want to call them. It's not HVAC. It's not technically low temp or anything like that, but they have to be conditioned a certain way.
What's really surprising, the more you dig into this, the more ways we have to condition space depending on the product that's in it. You know, even the basic thing that everybody's seen, when you go to your grocery store and you look at the cut meat in the deli department or
Yeah.
in the meat department, right? There's no fans in that. You can't move any air in that space because it'll dry the meat out. So you have to have slab cooling on glycol and temperature controls and coils so your cool air falls on the product. And
Have you
there's
worked?
so much of this that's incredibly specialized.
I think. Well, I was gonna ask if you worked on any type of meat markets, because those are always the interesting ones to me. Whenever I go and like pick up um, meat and all that, like there's different ways of doing it too. Did you have a lot of
Yeah.
experience in the meat markets?
Mostly in the grocery store stuff. We have a Asian themed chain up here that has a bunch of refrigerated fish tanks because they sell a lot of live product.
Oh,
I've
okay.
dealt with lobster tanks, and then yeah, everything from the main meat plant I deal with north of me is more of a sausage cold smoking environment. So they've got all that set up on racks, and then I've dealt with um, basic butcher shops, and then the meat departments in grocery stores.
Any lobsters ever get out on you?
No, but I did learn really interestingly that lobsters have clear blood that is toxic to other lobsters.
I didn't know that. Fun fact.
Yeah, so if
uh
they pull the arm off of one of the other lobsters, then they all die.
oh shit.
It is crazy how much money those things cost.
No, but like in I had a grocery store here that like where the glass is, and they have the raw meat, to that they sell. Behind that is all an open cooler, because they have evaporator
Mm-hmm.
fans directly above them.
Yep.
And I was just fascinated by that, because I don't see that, and I'm like, oh, wait, this whole thing is a open cooler. So have you seen those?
Oh yeah, tons of those with low flow coils. Usually they got the two coils on the side and center fan.
So then are they how do you control that? Are they trying to keep a certain temp?
Yep, because basically any part of the meat process you have to be able to control and document the temp. So you can't cut meat unless that's at temp. So sometimes you'll have an air curtain in the space. Otherwise, you'll have a calculated loss that you're getting heat infiltration from the store.
Yeah,
But yeah,
because
you'll have
you
big
couldn't.
walk-in cooler doors on the backside, and
Yeah, because you couldn't feel it on the other side, obviously. But like the people in there were wearing jackets, and then I was like looking up. I was like, oh, there's evaporators up there. And I thought that was kind of cool.
yeah,
And
that'll be a whole separate zone with multiple temperature controls.
and then if it ever goes out, you got all that raw meat that you got to get rid of. Again, that's why I don't want to
Right, over to
deal
one of
with
the other
it.
coolers.
Yeah, that's a cool thing. When I go to a location like a restaurant, because they always tell you like, oh, I got all this product. I'm like, you have another cooler, just throw it in there. I love, except when they only have one little crappy one, then it's like, okay, well, I don't know what you're gonna do with it. Was any of this hard to learn for you? Like, running. I know you said you did a little bit of everything before, but going to industrial CO2 type of stuff, supermarkets.
Oh yeah, it's incredibly hard. I'm not gonna toot my own horn. I'm a high school dropout with 3 post-secondary degrees is what I am. I'm an ADD case. I'm not the greatest student in the world. I just found something that I was super passionate about and was willing to put in the time. When I went through our trade school, I would literally read the module that we were going to study tomorrow that night to get mediocre results.
Yeah.
As far as that side of it, yeah, it was, but it's something I enjoy. It's a passion, so I find a way to make it work.
And where there's
I'm
a
not gonna lie. I'm
will,
working through my gas fitting ticket right now, and I was working this morning on my modules, and it's like, do 2 pages, play a little bit of my phone. Do 2 pages, play a little bit of my phone. It's just what I got to do to learn it.
where there's a will, there's a way. My dad didn't finish high school either, and then he ended up being electrician. Got an opportunity to learn food service. I saw that growing up, because he didn't even know that. And then, to now running his own business, I was like, I'm proud of him for doing that. And I was never a good school person. I got decent grades or good grades in high school and all that, but that's not what I wanted to do. I didn't want to do college or anything like that. So that's another benefit of getting into the trades is, there's stuff for us, people like us to do,
One of my first journeymen was really good for it. He was 100% willing to answer the phone and help you with anything, unless you didn't do the steps he told you to do last time. So he was the type of guy that if you called him up and like, I'm having this problem, and he's like, what are your pressures? And you're like, oh, I haven't put my gauges on yet. He just hang up.
Yep. I've heard that so
that was
many
the end
times.
of the conversation as far as he was concerned.
I was gonna say I've heard that so many times, talking to people about that, because even myself, like I did have a couple of guys that I could talk to, and I still see them at the supply house because now they work like, one works like with his cousin. They started their own business. Like, I'm still cool with them. I appreciate all the tips and tricks that they showed me because those helped me a lot. But as far as like tech support and calling for help, yeah, if you didn't have your pressures, if you didn't have this or that, I've been scolded at, and that just made me like, next time, okay, I'm gonna have like every reading possible because I do not want to go through that
Oh,
again.
100%. You're basically like, yeah, I had this. This is the amperage. These are the pressures. This is it. Help me.
Yeah, I learned that because even going to the supply house, if I didn't have the right information or uh, part number or something, they would give me a hard time, and I'm like, okay, next time I'm gonna come with everything.
Oh, I'm so happy when I started to get smartphones for work and I could actually take pictures of the model and serial number, because you get one number wrong and those supply house guys are on you.
Yeah, because I would, yeah, like when we could take pictures, I would definitely take a picture because I would write it down and take a picture and then go over there. And I'm like, I think this is what it is, but if you want to make it out, then here's the picture. I mean, we gotta
Yeah.
we gotta figure out what the model number is.
You can make it easier. You can make yourself a lot better. We talked about earlier about having long drive times and stuff. The amount of guys I know that, oh, I've never thought about listening to a podcast. I've never thought about this.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'll put it on, right? I'll put on something like,
Yeah, I've seen you post about all the podcasts that you listen to, and I'll be honest, I was not a podcast person. Funny enough that I'm doing one, but I've never been a podcast person in the past. I started, once I figured out that there was HVAC podcasts, of course I'm going to go and check them out, see what I can learn. I look up to like, Gil, HVAC Uncensored, Brett with Advanced Refrigeration. And there's a few others that I listen to now. Gary, HVAC
Trevor with Refrigeration Mentor, and
yeah, the educational ones are great too, like HVAC School and Trevor. But I actually
I tell the guys to go ahead.
Oh, I'm just gonna say real quick, I got into it actually because Mike Mayberry, HVAC reefer guy, used to do these interviews, and there were people that I started watching on YouTube, and I was like, oh, there's a podcast, oh, there's this, and that's when I found all those other guys, and I'm like, okay, cool. I've listened to a bunch of them on drives or doing stuff around the house, and sometimes you need that extra, because like I'm not a book person, I'm not any of that. I was never, I don't like reading, I don't like audiobooks, but finding these podcasts have been very helpful, so I'm glad that there's that resource.
The thing I take away from them, and what I've told a lot of my guys, even coming up, whether you're out of town sitting in a bar or lunch or whatever, if you take 10% of what I teach you today and you remember it, you're golden. That's moving forward. So if you put a podcast on, right, an advanced refrigeration podcast is another one. Those guys are far and above, way smarter than I could ever hope to be. But if I can remember something or something triggers a memory that I've listened to from them that could help me in the future,
Oh yeah.
that's time well spent rather than listening to the same song I've listened to 15 times. Right. And
Yeah,
that's where I said it.
Brett's one of those that I've listened to. Like, I don't know what he's talking about half the time, but like I listen to it in the background, and then sometimes it makes sense. And like you said, sometimes later down the road you're like, oh, that's what they were talking about, or oh this, and it'll click.
And the community is good enough that you can reach out and be like, hey man, you said something about this like 4 months ago.
Yeah.
This is what I'm looking at. Can you give me a hand? Oh yeah, no problem.
Oh, Brett would love to talk refrigeration with anybody. I've had plenty of conversations with him.
Oh, my favorite one with him was I sent him messages. I think he was up here, and we don't have plastic straws or plastic bags anymore.
Oh, really?
And just having a conversation with him, complaining about all the things he couldn't get to try and be in Canada. Unfortunately, there's the top 10% of the trade, the guys that have like the most amount of knowledge, and he is well and deeply in that group.
He denies it. He'll deny it 100%, and I'm like, no, dude, you are. I was like, you're up there.
Be modest. I'm cool with that.
Yeah.
I'm still gonna ask you for help.
Do you still work on any cars or anything currently?
Unfortunately, yeah. It's a bad habit.
Money pit.
Well, I have a Jeep, and that stands for just empty every pocket.
Like to as a hobby, like, are you doing stuff modifying it, or is it breaking down?
So it's pretty heavily modified, but I'm one of those guys that I am as happy working on it as I am driving it.
Okay.
So I can go into the garage and spend 4 or 5 hours tinkering on a 30-minute job, and I am more than content. My friends are all into show cars and everything crazy, so I'm working on their stuff or leaning on the fender, drinking a beer, one of the two. But
so they
no, I'm
participate
about that.
in the shows.
Yep. I didn't make our big provincial show, but I think we had about 8 guys that went down out of probably 15.
Yeah, because
We're not a car club, but we got a really weird connection. Like, mine's a big off-roader truck. I got friends with hot rods, and there's a really big collection of guys with OBS trucks, Suburbans, and slam trucks on airbags, and
yeah, everybody has
so
their
I'm
own
always doing something with that.
their own taste, their own flavor. My family, like, we used to, like I said, my grandfather was a mechanic, so growing up, I've seen him and my uncles, my dad working on old cars, and then I kind of got into it. I do have been really bad about putting it off, but I have a '62 Catalina, Pontiac. So like,
Ooh, nice.
Okay, so you're into classic cars?
Oh, 100%. I'm into everything. If it's got wheels and goes vroom, I'm into it.
Yeah, my dad's been like, because recently I drove it. It drove fine. It had AC in it and everything. And then it started, like, the brakes started going out. I tried fixing it, but there were still issues. And then, like, it needs body work now. It's our son just eats up everything because it was outside for a good while. And then he's been like, "Are you sure? Like, you don't want to get rid of it, sell it? It's a lot of work." I'm like, "No, like I said, I put it off recently, but I also would go out there and just start working on it here and there because I had fixed a lot of things on it, changing out parts and getting it, up and trying to figure out some other issues with it. And like I said, it rode really good. It's just that I've been busy lately, but it's a habit that I got, and I got into it. Once I got into the trades, I got more into like working on cars and stuff. That's kind of how that came about.
Mine was, I don't know, kind of honest. Like, I got memories of using my dad's floor jack and jack stands to jack up my wagon because he was working in the garage on his car. We were fairly hand to mouth. So my dad drove 1968 Chrysler 300 for most of my life as his daily. If he didn't take the bus to work, that's what he drove. So my mom always had nice cars, station wagons, minivans, all that stuff. And my dad just had that old car, and it just kept running, and he did the majority of the work because he didn't want to pay a mechanic to do it. And when I was in previous trades and an apprentice, like, I didn't have the luxury of paying somebody to do things. So I started to do things myself. And then, same as at work, once you start completing projects and seeing results, that becomes something you're very prideful of, your own repairs. And, my Jeep is not the world's greatest. If I paid somebody, it would work a lot better than it does. But it's mine. It's my hobby. My wife absolutely loves it. My daughter goes crazy for it.
Yeah.
So that's where some of that time goes. And the beautiful part about this trade is, because of my work van, it's literally a third vehicle. And if it's broke or I can't afford to fix it, it just sits in the garage till it's ready to go.
I guess that's the bad part, because like for me, like it's been sitting there too long. I need to work on it again. I know you talk to a lot of, or you deal with a lot of apprentices. A lot of young people might be watching. Is there any little advice you kind of want to end on?
As far as anything with apprenticeships go, ask questions, be challenged, don't be comfortable. Unfortunately, it's the same money to be stressed as it is to be relaxed, but look at the end goal and look at the resources. So there's things like skills and nationals. There's so many manufacturers that have some sort of training program that you can reach out and advance yourself. And don't be scared to invest in yourself. If a training program's $1,000 and it's going to put you ahead of two other guys, don't take that holiday. Maybe don't go drinking this weekend. Right? Invest in yourself. It'll really, really be worth it.
I can attest to that, because when I was like the first half of my career, because now we send the other guys, but I used to take every local class that they had on ice machines or any manufacturer that came into town. I was like, sign me
Yeah.
up. I'm there, and
Even
it
if it's a
helped
sales
so
pitch with
much.
pizza, you're going to get something out of it.
Yeah. Usually they give you the free lunch or anything like that at these places. And I was like,
I usually found it was a salesman that was sitting there trying to get it, but he would usually have the service manual with him, and I could get a
yeah.
big service manual for something.
Oh yeah. We used to take the manuals. I used to have a spot in my van for all the manuals that I used to collect from these places, like on ice machines or anything like that. And
Oh, I have a bookcase in mine.
in your
Like
van,
I've probably got a foot of manuals on my shelf in my van.
I'm trying to digitize
Manuals and
everything.
code book.
I'm trying to digitize all mine, because I don't want to, because now I have a phone full of pages of different manuals that I have to look up here and there. So I used to have it in my van. I try to downsize a little bit. I do have a few there, but yeah, I
I'm
took
a
a,
pack rat. I have access to them. I have the internet, but I just can't
yeah,
throw them out.
I used
They've
to
been in
have,
there like 2
I
decades
used to
now.
have milk crates in my other van of a bunch of books and folders and different things. And I was a pack rat too. And I was like, finally, like, I need the space. I need to get it out of here. So I finally got it out.
We're moving so far forward. Like, a lot of the Hussman racks and grocery stores and stuff like that, they have a QR code that takes you
Oh
immediately to
yeah.
the manual for that particular case. Like, you don't even need to look up model and serial anymore. It's so nice.
It is a nice time to be in HVAC tech. I can tell you that. Um, but thanks again, man. I know you've been busy. I wanted to let you get back to your
Not a problem. An
holidays.
absolute pleasure.
Thanks for taking the time, and everybody watching and listening. I appreciate you guys for tuning in, and we'll see you guys next time.